we're a 101-year-old company, maybe 102 in another couple of months if we make it with the anaerobic digestion. I'm not sure, but anyway, we've been there. We've been working on the peninsula. We're still independent. We're second and third generation. Making gas, not trash. That's the way it's said. We all know that methane is bad, and we don't want it, and just put it in landfills and greenhouse gases and all that. And so you can take your uneaten food scraps, table scraps, yard waste, turn it into clean compost and clean biofuel. And that is happening today, as you heard. Why? Well, several years ago, we started looking at all of the regulations going down. AB 32, the scoping plan, where the waste sector was supposed to equal net zero. We had to worry about, eliminating all of the organics from landfills. 4 months later, Schwarzenegger signs in low carbon fuel standard, and we have to reduce our emissions by 10%. Followed the cities had the sustainability bill where everybody had to come up with their own plan to cities and counties to lower their carbon footprint. And they were looking for solutions. And all of this stuff tailed in with now AB 1826 and banning organics from a landfill. Well, we knew we had to find a solution for getting organics out of the landfill, handling them locally, and lowering our carbon footprint. So one of the things we did with a lot of research and looking at things, we said we wanted to look into dry anaerobic digestion. In January of 2015, January 5th, we commissioned and started the first dry anaerobic digestion facility that turns your food waste, your yard waste into compost and renewable natural gas. There are other AD facilities around the Bay Area, one that makes, that's the same system here that makes electricity, but we wanted a transportation fuel because in the garbage business, looking to lower your carbon footprint, 84% of our emissions come from our trucks, and that's the biggest source we have. So the way to do that was to look in something that we can look at a renewable fuel. As you see, this is on a campus. It's right next door. The stuff behind there, the blue buildings are where the digesters are, the big tall ones in the ration bay. The stuff in the background, that's a 5-story parking garage for 800,000 square foot of biotech that's behind us with Genentech right there. So we're in an urban environment. It's not out in the middle of the desert. It doesn't smell. It works right in town. Why we did this, as I said, we wanted a closed loop system. We wanted something where, our trucks went out, brought the stuff in locally, we could get the fuel off it to run our trucks, and that would make a compost that would go back to the community or to the farmers nearby, and they would in turn grow vegetables and whatnot on there, and it's all closed loop. Very simple, easy to do, but we had the first. How it works, as I said, we go out in the community, we pick up the green waste, the food waste, we bring them back to that blue facility, and there's what's known as an aeration bay. Basically, it's a mixing shed where you got to try and mix in as much food waste and yard waste as you can, because we then take them and stick them in the digesters. And as you see, the anaerobic digesters are sitting there. We load them up. We start putting percolate on them, which has our bacteria, just like a sewer treatment plant. The bacteria goes on every 15 minutes, and we spray these things and regulate it. We're making biogas, and which we clean up and make into CNG fuel. All of the lower end gases, the lean gas, the tail gas, the butanes, the propanes, the siloxane, phloxane, all that's used in our boiler, which basically all that does is heat the stuff up and keep our bugs happy, because the bugs like to stay at about 130 degrees. At the end, we have the digest that comes out that gets transported to a compost facility and finishes another 30 to 45 days there. So again, like I said, we have 8 digesters. We process an average of about 40 tons a day. We fill digesters every other day. We get about 80 tons of them. They're designed, they can hold up to about a little over 100, about 120 tons, but this isn't a science. This is picking up stuff from your house in your green cart and bringing it there. A lot of this stuff is big, bulky, and whatnot, and so when you put it in a 157 cubic foot space, when that space is full, it's full. It does hold 120 tons if you put heavy material in and ground up material. Lighter it is, the lighter it goes. So in the first year, we got about 80 tons in each digester. We averaged 640 tons a month, but the good thing is the bugs ate half of it, or more than half of it. So when we haul this stuff out, we only hauled 300 tons out, okay, from every month that goes in there. When you take it out, we bring it into, after we unload them, we put them in an in-vessel composter, which is just like the digesters, only no bugs are introduced, only air. And that's so we can strip ammonia off, because this stuff, after sitting there for a few days, smells a little bit. So we put it in there after the 21 days, and we clean it up with 2 or 3 days of air going through it, and we run that through a biofilter and through a scrubber, where we pull off several things like ammonium sulfate and whatnot. Again, we make about 30 cubic feet per minute of gas. Most of that turns into about 300 to 500 gallons a day of fuel. We can produce up to 120,000 diesel gallon equivalents a day. Again, depends on what goes in. If you put the wrong stuff in, you don't get a lot of gas. Put the right stuff, you get a lot more gas, and you got to get it in there. The gas is very good. It cleans up. It's about 92% methane clean. It's cleaner than anything you're going to get from PG&E in your stove. It's got more methane content, kind of like a super if you look at it. The other thing is almost all of the gas, 70% of everything that's made is methane, and only 30% is the tail gas or the lean gas. So all that's good stuff. As you can see, here's the cleanup system. It's basically a still behind those two people there. The boiler is on the other side there where we look, and we have the heat system that keeps the thing going. And you look over here on the top slide, that's the scrubber and biofilter, where all the gases that come out, there's zero emissions out of this thing without being treated. Everything goes through the scrubber and or the biofilter. So we can live right next to Genentech and not have any complaints. After the gas is made, you make it 24/7, 365 days a year once you turn that thing on. The bugs are making gas 2 minutes after we introduce the material to them. But we have to take it out and we clean it up, and basically the gas is brought out of the digesters, pushed down into the percolate tanks, which are underneath the digesters, and it's homogenized. So because every different digester makes it at a different rate. So we then take it and store it above the digesters in a bladder, and 2, 3, 5 times a day, we send that off to this fueling station. And you notice in the top picture there, there's those big white tanks there. Those are the storage tanks. We store the material in there for most of the day, and at night we fuel our trucks with it, and weekends we fuel all 3 days on biofuel. If you look at all this stuff, as Evan says, if you look at diesel, we can go with compressed natural gas and we can lower our carbon footprint. This stuff currently has a -15 pathway. We're applying for a 22.93 pathway on this thing, so we're better than we thought we would be. The feedstock, food generates a lot more than green waste. We got a lot of food, but we need more, and carbohydrates by far the best. If you look at all the cost effectiveness and the operational expense, when we take the digest out after 21 days, it costs us more to get rid of than we thought it would originally, because we've done 4 months worth of composting in basically 30 days or 24 days. The media on our still, or our distillation system, we were told it was going to take maybe 1 or 2 years we'd have to clean it. Well, this stuff has enough contamination, and some of it's just natural, like MEK, methylethyl ketones. We're pulling those out, and that's a solvent, but it's coming from an organic source like eucalyptus trees and whatnot. But that means we've been replacing media a lot faster. We replaced it 2 times last year. Ammonium sulfate, as I said, we pull the ammonium off and we scrub it and we run it through with sulfuric acid. We've got a fertilizer, but people didn't want it at first, so we were having to handle it as hazardous waste, which is very expensive when it's a fertilizer people are buying. All that stuff's changing, and we're getting it down, and we're learning after the first year. But if you really ask me, does this thing make a lot of money? No. Is it the best thing when you say, does it compete with oil when it's down to $20 a barrel or $40 a barrel? No. But I can tell you one thing, it's probably the best thing we've ever done. And if you look at what's good for us in the world, and my grandchildren and everything else, this is good stuff. You know, we're really picking up something in your house today, and tomorrow I'm running a truck on it. So, and at the end of it, I've got a sustainable material, and it's a sustainable system, and we think it's good, and I think, as Evan said, there should be 150 of them in California in a couple of years. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Did I make the time?
You made the time. You've got time for like one question, and Matt Cotton, you need to be standing right here. Any question? Oh, great, yes.
Yes, first of all, thank you for being a leader in this area. We're very grateful.
Evan's help, I'm a leader.
Thank you. Could you just tell people real quick how long the permitting process? Sorry.
Permitting, well, the longest part was where we were at. It took probably about 8 months to get a negative deck on an EIR. That we said, when we started, we said we don't need it, it's all good, everything else, but everybody to be safe because of where we're located, said we should do it. So it was 8 months for the EIR. Everything else went very smooth. We even got, the Air Board right on board and gave us our permit. Of course, the first couple of days we operated, they wanted to take our permit away, and it had nothing to do with us, it had to do with other facilities that were making odors. And we didn't have that, and I can say after 30 days, or 60 days or something like that, they went away, and everything's worked fine. Altogether, a little over a year.